We are back live with the 2020 Javelina Virtual Coaches Caravan. And our next guest, the head coach for Javelina softball, Coach Craig Nicholson. Coach Nicholson, thank you for taking some time out for us today.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
If anyone interested in supporting Javelina softball or any of our other programs, you can visit javelinagiving.org/1day or text GoHogs to 202-858-1233. Now, Coach, I remember having a conversation with you before the start of the 2020 season. You put it pretty bluntly. You said there's really only one thing left for this program to try and accomplish going into last season. Obviously, that the opportunity to achieve any championship, whether it was conference or regional or national, got taken away. But you still had the opportunity to play a handful of games. Started off hot, kind of came back to earth a little bit after that. But what was your assessment of the way of your team's play of the 2020 season, as short as it was?
We were extremely inconsistent, I think is the best way to put it. I think, honestly, as I look back, I think you could probably say you could probably say we're a little bit of hangover maybe from the year before. A little bit of we maybe didn't do a great job of dealing with expectations. I did feel like the last trip that we took kind of right before everything got shut down, I felt like we played as well as we played all year. And I felt like we were getting things kind of back on track, just getting into our conference season. So, I mean, there were definitely some positives coming along the way at that point. But obviously, we never got a chance to kind of see how that worked out. But we were just inconsistent early. Played great one weekend, struggled the next kind of thing. And, I really feel like we were just getting to a point where we were starting to figure out who we were. And then obviously our season ended prematurely. So,
do you think that having been through a year like that, where you said you might have had some trouble playing with the expectations that your team had, do you think that's going to be a benefit going forward?
Absolutely. I mean, I think we're going to be in a better spot moving forward because we're going to have to deal with those expectations every year. And I think that having been through it one time, the year before when we went to the World Series, there was no expectation level of that happening. And then I think you return a bunch of kids from that team and all of a sudden, you're starting the season ranked number 2 in the country and those kind of things. And I think that, we just struggled with that. But I think it's all part of the process of growth. And I think we're in a better spot now to deal with the expectations that I would think would be forthcoming this coming year, assuming that that we have the opportunity to play.
How difficult was it to have that conversation with your team? Because you guys were, I think, a day away from starting a weekend where you would have had 2 conference doubleheaders at home, and obviously it only got at that time it was just a postponement, but it quickly became a cancellation after that. How difficult was it to kind of have that conversation with your team at that point in time?
Well, we were actually at practice when we got the word that we were going to postpone. So I feel fortunate in a sense that we were actually all together when that happened. Because the problem now is with social media, it's hard for me to address a group of people that don't already know what's going on, because unless we happen to all be at the same place at the same time, that's the only way that's going to happen. So we were at practice when we were postponed, and then obviously once we got the news that everything was going to be canceled, which was 2 days later, or even a day later, obviously I had to break that to them, but I wasn't able to do that in person because we were already at a point where we were starting. With the way things were going when that happened, I told them, I'll just go home. We were on spring break, and I told them, just go home for the weekend. Let's see what's going to happen. And so by the time we got the information that we were that everything was kind of canceled, everybody was in different places. So it was one of those things that you hate to do over text message, but that's the fastest way you're going to get the information out, just in the world we live in now. So,
was there when you're in a situation like that, you're heading into you're heading into the offseason at a very unexpected point in time. Is your message to your team different than it would be if it was just the end of a regular season? If it was, say, May, and you were going into the offseason?
No, I don't think the message was any different. It was just a matter of preparing, and obviously the biggest thing at that point in time is we didn't have the knowledge that we have now in terms of this virus. So the biggest thing at that point was go home, be safe, and that's what we wanted to get across to our kids. Obviously, we know a lot more about what's going on now than we did in March, and we know how to be able to go out there and be safe and work on things now that we had no idea about at that time. So I think the biggest message, was just kind of take care of yourselves. Make sure that you're staying in touch with your professors and doing the things you need to do to make sure that you finish out the semester academically, and then we'll start worrying about softball again when summertime gets here.
How much of a relief was it knowing that that your players were not going to lose eligibility due to what happened?
That was definitely that's a good thing. I think the NCAA did the right thing at that point. So it was good for them to have the option. Now, they didn't all use it because people are at different points in their life at that point. So we had 4 seniors last year. We only had 1 return, for this year. But we had girls that were already going to grad school. We're already going to PT school. Different, we're already in a grad program in one case. So, sometimes life gets in the way. And I think if all of them would have loved to have played another year, but obviously they had other things going on in their life, and sometimes as you get toward the end and you're planning on this being the final season, you've already made plans to move on and do other things. So as far as the seniors, that was kind of the case, and now we're still in that process of trying to figure out what are our younger girls' plans, because it's going to affect recruiting, and all of a sudden now we have, we brought in 11 freshmen this year, and we have 5, I think, back that were freshmen last year. So all of a sudden you look at it and you go, oh, we got a class of 16 freshmen. Some of them have been here more than a year, but they're still athletically freshmen. So now the next piece is kind of working through how's this going to affect recruiting, and what are we doing moving forward.
Now, I know a lot of your recruiting is done even since before you're recruiting for the class that would be freshmen in, say, 2021. A lot of that's done before the 2020 season starts.
Correct.
But how did everything that's been going on, how has that affected you from a recruiting standpoint?
Well, and not that I can talk specifically about them, but we already had a 2021 class pretty much done before COVID hit. So we stopped recruiting 2021s basically at that point. And, now we're back to maybe taking a look at a couple more people. But the big thing was trying to figure out how are we going to have room scholarship-wise? Are we going to have room numbers-wise to add any more? We wanted to first make sure we took care of the 6 that were already committed. Mm-hmm. And then, and now we're in a spot where we're kind of looking at a couple other things, but so it didn't have a huge impact on that 21 class because it was pretty much done. It's really had more of an impact on the class after, the 2022 class, the class that's the juniors right now that we've started recruiting, and the tough thing is for these kids, not just softball players, but for all athletes that are 2021s and 2022s and graduates in high school, this has had an impact on them and their opportunity, and it's kind of changed the recruiting landscape a little bit. So
you talk about the enormous freshman class you have coming in. Does that change? Do you change anything about the way you coach when you have such a young team, so many young players?
No, I really don't. I mean, we're going to do the same things that we do. Look, are there going to be times where you got to spend a little bit more? You got to spend a little bit more time teaching, and a little bit less time motivating. Maybe that does happen. I think that's a part of it. But in the end, I'm not going to change who I am, and we're gonna learn to do things on the fly. And the nice thing is we have now going into year 4 for me, we have some players that have been here the whole time with me that really understand what things should look like, both in terms of how we do things and what we do. And I think now you get to a point where you have help from your players that have been here and been in the program, that maybe started at the same time that I started, and that group can kind of help teach and help groom and really be a great level of support for our younger girls, just in terms of teaching and in terms of kind of helping them through some of the hard times. So, but I don't think, from a coaching standpoint, I don't think we really change what we do a heck of a lot.
And obviously, you can go back, look at the 2019 team. That you had a number of freshmen on that team that were very significant contributors to a squad that went just about as far as you can go in this sport. How much I know obviously information that's been made available to, I feel like, coaches has been pretty limited as the course of this process has gone on, but how much have you stayed in touch with your players, keeping them up to speed with whatever information you had available to you at different times?
Well, we started doing more since the school year started. I mean, typically for me, over the course of the summer, I'm super hands off. That's your time to go do what you need to do, to get ready for the school year, to get ready for a season, to get ready for the grind that is going to be September to May. So we checked in with them once in a while over the course of the summer, but really as we kind of got a week or two out from school started ramping up the level of communication, and I'm giving them information pretty much every day in our group chat and stuff like that, and we'll do some Zoom call. We've done a couple Zoom calls, which, Mark, I'm not a technology guy, so the Zoom call thing is it's not really the way I want to do anything. So, but we're just looking forward to getting a chance to be face to face, and whatever that looks like, and whatever we're able to do. Our girls, they have no interest in being on a Zoom call either.
Mm-hmm.
They want to get out there to the field and get to work, is the mentality of this team, and ideally that's something that's been instilled over the years, and they're itching to get out there and get something going. Whatever that looks like, we don't care. We just want to be able to get out there and get to work.
How much of a plan have you and your staff formulated as to, okay, as soon as to be ready for as soon as everything turns green and you guys are ready to get out there and practice again?
Well, we have some different plans depending on kind of how things are going to look and what we're going to do, and we're getting updates fairly regularly from Steve, and I know this has been a huge challenge for him to work through this, and sometimes I think the parameters change every day, and so there's challenges that come with that. But we have a plan laid out, and it's a plan that we're going to be able to adjust as things change, and depending on exactly what our parameters are going to be in terms of kind of getting back into practice.
You're someone who's built. I should say, a lot of what you built here has been built around players who are local. A lot of the players on this team are from either Kingsville or the surrounding area. Does it make it a little bit easier to deal with a situation like this when you have so many local players?
I think it does. I think it really does. I think we have probably 6 girls on our team right now that are living at home right now until we kind of get back into the swing of practice. Some of them live at home as is because they're from Kingsville, but some of the ones that are from kind of the surrounding area a little bit, that normally would live in Kingsville, are just kind of staying at home until we know exactly where we're at. But I think it gives them a little bit of freedom to be able to be at home, study, be in an environment where they know they're safe, and those kind of things. And so I think that's helped a little bit. We have 2 girls from outside the state of Texas. So, and obviously they're both here and ready to go. But yeah, I think one of our things when we're recruiting is really taking into account being able to have girls that are somewhat close to Kingsville. I think if you drew about a 3-hour driving circle around Kingsville, 85% of our team probably is in that circle, or just outside of that circle. So it's something that when we're recruiting, we want to make sure we take care of South Texas first, and then kind of after we get that taken care of, then in any given year we may have to to broaden our horizons a little bit. And it certainly doesn't mean that we're not looking at girls outside of that circle, but in the end, we want to make sure that that we're really taking care of the local group first, and going outside of that circle if we have some extra needs.
What are going to be the biggest keys for you in the fall to make sure that whenever that first pitch is thrown in the spring, your team is prepared?
I mean, the big thing for us is just being able to get the reps that we need to be ready to go. And we return basically an entire starting lineup. Not to say that starting lineup won't change or can't change, but we have a lot of girls with a year or 2 or 3 of experience under their belt. So I think the biggest thing is just everybody getting back into form. It's been a long layoff. I mean, usually in our sport, you have 2.5 months in the summer, and then you're back at it with fall ball and those kind of things. And for our girls that are coming in, they were playing all summer long. I mean, the club stuff never shut down all summer long. But for our girls that were here already, they haven't been in a competitive environment for 6 months now, and they're not going to be in a competitive environment again other than practice until February. So you're going to come up on almost a year when you get to that point. So it's a matter of getting the reps. I think probably we scrimmage more in practice than we normally would in a normal fall, and just get those live reps to kind of get yourself back into the swing of things is the plan that we have right now.
All right, well, Coach, whenever you guys get back on the field, I think we're all looking forward to that day. We'll be excited to see it. For any of those interested in donating to Coach Nicholson's Javelina softball program, visit javelinagiving.org/one-day, or you can text Go Hogs to 202-858-1233. Coach Nicholson, thanks for the time. Hope to see you again soon. Best of luck.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, Mark.